Well, hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our deep dive into Stanford's MSx program. You know, for many of you who may not really be aware of what exactly the program is, we're going to give you every detail possible over the next hour. You're going to meet the Senior Associate Dean at Stanford, who is in charge of the program. And you are going to meet current students and alumni who've experienced this one-year immersion program that literally has changed their life. So I think a lot of people who are in their mid-careers may have looked back and thought, boy, I wish I did an MBA program when I was younger. And now they're looking at what can they do to enhance their skills and their personal development. And oftentimes you look at executive MBA programs that are part-time programs, and we've had major disruption there with the COVID crisis that has forced many of these programs online. MSx is sort of in between, the perfect blend between that full-time MBA in residence experience and that part-time experience in those executive MBA programs. Gives you a full year on the campus, in not only a campus, but a campus located in the heart of Silicon Valley, which of course is the most dynamic, most interesting economy probably in the world. So let's start off our hour session with Paul Oyer, who is the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. Welcome.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
So Paul, what makes this program unique?
So I think the 1 year, you used the word immersive, and we'll probably hear that word a lot over the next little bit, because it's a 1 year residential program, and you're in graduate school at Stanford University. And that comes with so many benefits. The business school is so full of great classes, great people, my colleagues, the other students, but also the greater campus. I mean, Stanford has 7 schools, and we like our students. I always encourage them on the first day, make sure you get out and take courses in the engineering school, the education school. We're about to have an 8th school, by the way. We won't get into that too much. We have a new School of Sustainability coming on in the next few years. So Stanford is an amazing place to be. The GSB, the 1 year immersion in the GSB is a unique opportunity for someone in their mid-career.
And what makes it really cool is it's customizable, right?
Right, so it is absolutely customizable in terms of the electives you take. We have a core curriculum. It's, like I said, it's graduate school at Stanford University. We got to make sure you learn the basics of business education. But for most of the program, you're choosing your own. You're choosing your own classes. And I always tell people, sample widely, try a bunch of everything, and then also think about 1 or 2 areas where you want to dive deep. Because you're never going to have a chance to take, a bunch of classes in marketing, if that's your thing, from the people we have at the Stanford campus.
And not many people are going to have a chance to take design thinking, machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analytics on Stanford's campus.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, there are people who do all of those things within the GSB. We have an amazing engineering school, amazing med school. So absolutely, Stanford, it is graduate school at Stanford University, and that is right now, Stanford is, there's no better place to be a student.
Why is this a strategic priority for the business school?
Yeah, so at the business school, we think a lot about how can we have the most impact, what are the audiences we want to reach, and of course we have a core MBA program which has a big impact on a lot of students. But we want to spread our knowledge more widely, as it were, and so we try to address mid-career executives through a variety of different things. We have exec ed programs that are shorter and more intense, and then we think there's a bunch of people out there for whom a real graduate immersive experience makes the most sense, and we want to help those people find their path through to the next opportunity. The MSx program has been around for, I think it's about 60 years now, and it's always been an interesting part of the GSB. It started as what was called the Sloan program, and we still refer to the students there as Sloan Fellows.
Right. And the opportunity costs, obviously, are quite high.
Yep.
You're asking mid-career professionals who are highly successful, who often have large families,
Yep.
to leave their jobs and to come on campus for a year. What makes that bargain worthwhile?
Yeah, so that's a great point. Let's not sugarcoat it. You're taking a year out of your life, you're moving, maybe you're uprooting and putting your kids in, and you should think very carefully before you do that. Don't jump in. Think carefully about doing all of that. And how could that possibly be worth it? Well, for some people it might not be, but for a lot of people, again, it's that 1 year of really focusing on your career and how this can get you from where you are to where you want to be. For many people who have, want to accelerate their career or transition into entrepreneurship or something like that, it's a great investment. There's no better time, than mid-career to say, okay, now's when I need to do this reset. Now's when I want to invest in a full year of graduate school.
What do people who enter the program expect from it?
So, I will tell you what they should expect from it. I can't tell you what they do. What they should expect from it is a top-notch education and an incredible cohort of classmates, as well as a broader set of people at the GSB who will just be an amazing set of people to learn from while you're there and then to network with and stay in touch with after.
Let's talk about the culture of the school and the culture of Silicon Valley and how students who enter the program experience it.
Yeah, so we're very collaborative school, the GSB. We're known for the students in all three of our programs. We have a PhD program, an MBA program, and an MSx program. And I think we've been very good at building a culture of collaboration. So the students are there to support one another, a lot of group work, a lot of organization of activities by students. And I think that really is an important part of the school. As far as, but another part of our culture is we try not to be the school of entrepreneurship, because we are a school of general management. You can come to Stanford Graduate School of Business and learn. You're going to learn some accounting, you're going to learn some marketing, you're going to learn the whole broad spectrum of things. But there is a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, which you can't help but pick some of that up. You're sitting in Silicon Valley for a year, you're on the Stanford campus where, there's so much rich history of innovation.
And beyond the classes, and I'm not diminishing the importance of the classes and the esteem of the great professors who teach in those classrooms, there is the personal development.
Yep.
There is the self-reflection. There's the coaching, the academic advising, the networking that goes on that makes this a truly rich experience.
That's all definitely true, and I just remind people, you're going to have to make the most of that yourself.
Right.
Like, we are going to give you so many opportunities to get involved in various extracurricular things and coaching and communication programs to help meet your goals and further your plans. And what you use the word, each individual has to craft their own plan, and we're going to help give you the chance to do that, and we're going to expect you to say, here are my goals, and here's where I'm going to need help, and here's where I'm going to take it on my own.
Paul, that's great. We're going to meet 4 people who built their own plans, and we're going to cut and go to a video to introduce the first of them.
Sounds great.
My name is Kate French, and I'm a current MSx student. I'm from the education industry, where I was formerly a high school administrator. So far, the MSx experience has been simply wonderful, not just for me, but also for my family. It seems like everyone has time to talk, and everyone's willing to share their story and hear your story as well. Perhaps the toughest thing is to decide where to spend your time, because there are certainly more opportunities and more events than you can possibly attend.
Well, hi, Kate.
Hi,
How are
thank
you
you for
today?
having me. I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, my question is a simple one. How in the world does an assistant principal for a high school decide to come and get a graduate degree in management at Stanford?
That's a great question, and one I field often. I had a lot of on-the-ground experience. So in working to lead a school, you're doing that management every day, but it's not necessarily immediately seen as transferable. I'd also worked at the same place for a long time. I was ready to kind of expand my horizons, and so coming here has given me not only the business acumen and language, but also an opportunity just to meet a huge number of people.
So your goals for yourself in entering the program and going through it, and I should add that you started in January,
Yes.
so you're 3 quarters through.
Yes.
You have 1 final quarter to go. What were your goals, and are you on your way toward achieving them?
Yeah, I would say the beauty of the program is that some of it changes. And so you get this idea of you come in with an idea of what you might do, and then you expand more broadly, and then you go back narrow, and it just kind of is an evolution. And I would say, like, most certainly, in many ways, the program's exceeded my expectations. One example of that is just like the increased confidence in the opportunity to be constantly meeting new people and working with new people. And I would say, in terms of your original question, absolutely, like it's met or exceeded my goals in many different areas.
Now, the program can be customized to your own passions, your own interests, and your professional goals. So I wonder how you have taken advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I think I'm in a unique position coming from my background that I was actually really excited to take the core classes in our first quarter. Not all of my classmates are as equally excited in that regard and really anxious for those electives. But for me, I was excited to get back into a class on finance and accounting. I think since then, it's been a really unique opportunity in that I've been able to kind of dabble in entrepreneurship, even though that's not what I came here to do, but still just get an idea of what that is. It's hard to resist in this culture. But I've also been able in the first quarter with electives to go really broad and just take a wide range of things that were focused on soft skills like interpersonal dynamics all the way to like hard skills like I'm in a class on investments right now.
So I always think life is composed of magic moments. And the more that you collect, the better your life is. What are the magic moments that you've collected in the program so far?
We don't have enough time to go through all of them, but I will say a couple. I think one is I'm here with my family, and I have 2 young kids, and I think the opportunity almost on a daily basis to see them interacting with other families and kids that live on campus is certainly one of them, to see them kind of experience the Stanford graduate experience as well. I think on my own personal level, I can point to just a couple of weeks. Like a week, for example, this summer we were in full in-person classes, and it was classes all week, but then there was an evening, a small gathering with one professor one evening, and then another professor hosted us at his home the next evening. And it was the constant opportunity to get to know people on a deeper level, but also this idea that people want to get to know you as well. And so they're constantly going to be inviting you to new things, and it's just your opportunity to say yes.
And you mentioned you have children.
Yes.
And I know that roughly 60% of the students in MSx programs have children. And I wonder how does that work? Because there are a lot of people out there who are probably hesitating. You know, they got an incredibly demanding job, they have family responsibilities, they have children. How in the world can they take a year off out of their life, come here with their families and make that work? How have you made it work?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. My children are young, they're 5 and 2, and so it's, in my mind, it's the kind of the perfect age, but there's a wide range of classmates that have children at different ages as well. And I think Stanford provides an opportunity for the whole family, and MSx provides an opportunity for the whole family. So the partners have gotten incredibly close. The kids have gotten incredibly close. Like, we live on campus. They're outside every afternoon playing with each other. We go to the football games, et cetera. And so I think it really is an opportunity to have your entire family involved. It's common to see kids coming over to the business school for lunch to meet their parents or riding their scooters around campus.
Now, you came here from Chicago.
Yes.
This is a very different place from Chicago. It is a place where entrepreneurship is a big deal. It's part of the air, part of the DNA. How has that affected you and the way you think about the world?
I would say it's broadened what I think is possible, not just for myself, but for others and for the world. Well, first of all, moving here in January was wonderful in terms of the climate, as old friends were in snowy Chicago. But I will say, like, I did not come here to be an entrepreneur. It's hard not to catch a little bit of that as you get here, and so I have taken a few classes in that regard. But it's also this idea that what an entrepreneur is a really wide range of different things. And so I realized that I've actually been involved in places that operate more like startups, and I like that culture, and I never would have called it a startup where I was coming from, but now I just have that language in a different way. So I will say it's just this idea of possibility that's incredibly infectious, and it's not overwhelming. It's just simply like empowering and exciting.
And that's a core part of the culture, but I wonder what other aspects of the culture would you say define the Stanford experience?
I would certainly echo what Dean Oyer said in terms of collaboration. You're constantly working with groups. If you come on campus, like, nobody is sitting alone enjoying their lunch. Like, they're working together, they're learning from each other, et cetera. And I think this idea also of, it ties to what I said before, but like, there's an idea of like, we will succeed together, and everyone wants to help others succeed as well. And so it's amazing how many people, if you reach out and you're like, can we grab coffee? Like, the answer is almost always yes. And even when you think in your head, like, there's no way this person's gonna have time to meet with me, like, they're incredibly successful in the industry, they're like, yes, absolutely, what can I do? How can I help you, et cetera. And I think that idea is transferable. Like, we in turn are helping each other in that way.
It sounds like you're loving this. You're making me want to apply.
Absolutely, come on.
Too many gray hairs over here, probably. What would you say is the most underrated feature or aspect of the program?
I think the fact that it is like fully immersive. So when you think about like an MBA program or an executive MBA program, obviously there are pros and cons to both of those. I think, as mentioned before, this is just a marriage of the two. And so the fact that I'm currently not juggling like another job as I'm doing this, and I can be really all in, has accelerated my learnings and has just provided me with the opportunity to say yes more than I perhaps would have been able to otherwise.
I love that. You can't put a value on that.
No, absolutely not.
Well, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Great, thank you for having me.
Okay, we're going to go to another videotape to introduce you to my next guest.
Stanford GSB and the MSx program really gave me a platform to pursue many life and career goals that I had thought were too far away. Before Stanford GSB, I worked in banking in Singapore and Kenya. And after graduation, I returned to my previous employer. Currently, I work as a director of the tech media and telecom group here in the US. A big takeaway for me from the program was the confidence to embrace authentic leadership.
Stephen, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
So you came into the program, you graduated in 2020.
That's correct.
But you came from Kenya. You were working in Nairobi for the Standard Chartered Bank. And I wonder what kind of culture shock you experienced.
Right, so it was a big change from Nairobi to the GSB, but before then, Nairobi, I worked in Singapore. So I moved from Singapore to Nairobi and then Nairobi to the GSB. So it's a massive change. But I would say that Stanford was a super welcoming environment, so I basically could fit in right away.
What were you trying to accomplish when you came here?
So I was 8 years into my career, and I had always been in banking. So I thought maybe I wanted a break to really reflect on my career and explore what else beyond banking. And I had always wanted to go to a top business school, but then 8 years into your career, the opportunity cost you said earlier can be pretty high. So I thought I would have 1 year of runway, and then I think the MSx program just came as the top choice. And honestly, I applied to just one program, one business school.
Stanford.
Yeah.
Why?
because I think that was a perfect choice. And also I think I was doing pretty okay with my career. So without the MSx program, I think I would just continue. But I thought, 1 year, one program at Stanford would be, a perfect transition to something else.
Now, what surprised you about the program?
I think I had heard so much about the program, but I think when you arrive on the campus and be surrounded by, all these incredible people, I mean, you feel, oh, so this is what Stanford is all about. I think one thing that I didn't know about Stanford is just how empowering it can be. I think there's just so many things before the GSB I didn't know that it could be achieved. But at Stanford, I mean, the people around you will make sure that, just go after your dream and you get all the support you need to really go after it. So, it was just incredible.
When you look back on your experience, what are the most memorable moments for you?
I think it's all the coffee chats, but there's one particular coffee chat I had with a classmate of mine, and
You mean just regular having a coffee with a classmate?
the coffee chats is a great culture at Stanford. So you wake up usually 6:30, 7 o'clock, and that's when your first coffee chat is. And on average, I had about 2 to 3 coffee chats a day. But that one particular coffee chat, when I really, listened to the life story of my classmate, and I felt that, okay, I'm so lucky to be here, to be at Stanford, to be surrounded by all these, incredible people.
What did your classmate tell you?
About her life story, how she came, from a really humble background in China to found, one of the biggest game companies in China, and then came to Stanford with 2 kids all by herself. So working on the startup at the same time. So it's just like, how could one person, do so much and, achieving so much, and at the same time be super humble.
That's really interesting, because I think what it does say is how eclectic the backgrounds of people are, and no matter how different they are, they're coming for one purpose, right?
Yeah.
They want to live life on another dimension in a way. They want to be reflective about their life, and through that introspection become better and live a better life.
Exactly. And I think that is the culture of Stanford. It really makes you reflect on a lot, on not just your career, but also your life as well, and think how you're going to live a better life after the GSB and build a better career after that. And I think at Stanford we always talk about ourselves and our stories, and listen to the feedback, listen to others, and it's just an environment that you can be 100% yourself and be better after that.
What did you learn from your classmates?
Oh, so much. I can go on and on for hours.
And you probably learn more from them than anyone, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There are 1,000 people at the GSB, so we have the MSx program, the PhD program, and the MBA program as well. And it's a really immersive environment. So you meet up with these incredible people on a daily basis, and you listen to their stories, and you always walk away from every coffee chat feeling like, I've learned something great about this person. I've learned something, and it's just an amazing environment, and it's a really empowering environment as well. So you learn basically every day. And I think that is what I miss the most about Stanford as well, that constant inspiration. And then after the GSB, you kind of that shock that, okay, you don't have the constant inspiration every day anymore.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, you returned to your employer.
That's correct.
In a new role.
That's
You
correct.
now work in San Francisco.
That's correct, yeah.
And I wonder how it's changed you as a person, because you still are at your same organization.
Yes, I moved a lot, so I tell you, from Singapore and then Nairobi to San Francisco. So it's definitely a new role, and I'm helping building a new sector over here as well. So it's a great, challenging role. And from Stanford, learning about entrepreneurship and tech and all that. So I'm a coverage banker, looking after the tech industry. So it's like a perfect transition for me from Stanford to do tech, media, and telecom.
So the program helped that career transition, but I also wonder how it changed you personally.
I think in terms of leadership, that is the biggest change. I think before Stanford, I would say that I didn't figure out the leadership style that I would adopt for myself. Stanford was the place that really gave me the confidence to embrace, authentic leadership. You can be 100% yourself and be an amazing leader at the same time. And I think I brought that into my current role at the moment.
If you had to say what is the most underrated part of the program, what do you think it would be?
I would say it's how small the cohort is. So every cohort it's around 7 to 80, sometimes 85 people. And after 1 year, you really know these people so well, and you become lifelong friends. I still catch up with our friends on a monthly basis, and here in the Bay Area we hang out literally every week. So that small cohort, and then when you leave Stanford, they become your family, they become your community.
I think that's something that people underestimate when they enter a program like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the bonds that you make, you go through a lot of rigorous academic topics.
Yeah.
You're engaged in a lot of intellectual discussions and discussions about the broader world and everyone's place in it. And out of that becomes enduring friendships.
Absolutely.
That really mean a lot to you.
Yeah, and you walk away with an amazing network, an amazing community and family. That's the best part of the program in Stanford GSB, I think.
If you had to do it all over again, would you?
Absolutely. I would. Definitely, I would go back and do it all over again.
What would you change about it? Anything?
A lot more coffee chats. So instead of 2, 3, I would do 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
That must mean you would be a very caffeinated person, Stephen.
I still am. Yeah.
So for people out there who are considering the program, what should they really know about it from your perspective?
It's a very unique program, and I don't think you can find this kind of program in many other business schools. Think of Stanford as not just a business school, but it's also a life school as well. Here you will find the most inspiring people that will help you, empower you to go on and achieve your dreams. And here at Stanford, we always help people who want to apply. So if you are considering applying and seeking some help, feel free to reach out to me or any of the Stanford GSB alum, and we will be happy to help.
Now, in real estate, there's this famous phrase, location, location, location. And in this case, I think the location of the program is crucial to what it's all about. You're in the heart of Silicon Valley. You're surrounded by people who are finding their own way, determining their own fates. How did that infect you? Was it infectious or not?
Of course. It will change you even. On Stanford campus alone, at GSB alone, you will see all the people that you have heard of, you read about. They just walk around, like casually on campus, just stay at Cooper, and you see CEO of, this big tech company and that big tech company, that VC and this VC. And it will really change you, because I think we met with so many CEOs in just 1 year. And I think the big takeaway from us was that what is the difference between them and us? And I think Stanford really makes you believe that the difference over here is actually time. Because at Stanford, they will provide you with everything you need to just go after your dream and achieve it.
I think that's incredibly valuable. So of all the classes that you took, was there one that really made a big difference in your life?
Yeah, I think people always say this is interpersonal dynamic, or we call it touchy-feely.
That's the iconic program, and that's also part of MSx.
Yeah, of course. That's for the entire GSB. So we took that together with the MBAs, and I think that was life-changing for me.
So for those who don't know about that particular course,
yeah,
what can you tell us about it?
Basically, every week, 10 people sitting in a circle talking a lot about thoughts and emotions. And it really helps not just you understanding yourself, but how other people are looking at you as well. And I think that you will learn so many things that you will apply not just at work, but also in life as well. And I think today, almost a year and a half out of school, we still practice it, we still talk about it, we still learn about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what I really like about what you just said is that you're actually taking the course with the full-time MBA students. So there's this sort of cross-fertilization between the full-time MBA program and the MSx program.
Yeah, you come to Stanford GSB not just to be in one program. You come to Stanford GSB to be part of the entire community, not just at the GSB, but also at Stanford as well. So there's just so many classes that you take with the MBAs and also the PhDs and students from other schools as well. And not just at school, but like right now, for example, like we hang out together all the time. I said like every week. Last night, for example, I had dinner with just a couple of MBAs and also MSx's as well. So I tell you that you will bring with you the entire community after the GSB.
So Stephen, it sounds like you didn't just merely get an education.
It's way beyond that. It's way beyond that. Yeah.
Stephen, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And good luck to you.
Cheers.
And we're going to go to the videotape again. So you're going to meet our next guest. Well, hi.
Hi, John.
So what I find fascinating about you is that you have co-founded 2 different startups. One, it seems, at the start of your MSx journey, and then one within months of graduating. Did the MSx program have something to do with your entrepreneurial vision or dreams or desires?
So I've been in a family where my husband was always an entrepreneur, and he used to say, hey, you should start something. And I was working at eBay, which is, again, a lot of alums have started something. But the idea of it really scared me. Like, I used to think these people are geniuses. But when I entered into MSx program, I really was propelled by the environment, the experiential nature of the environment and everything surrounded by it. Everything seems impossible with the help of the classes like Startup Garage, Lean Launchpad, tons of entrepreneurial classes. The first startup that I did, TechX, was actually an organization, voluntary organization, because my program was very international. Everybody came from different countries, and they were very curious about Silicon Valley. While I was in the Silicon Valley and I had this opportunity to bring the Silicon Valley to Stanford and expose them instead of them finding an opportunity to go to Google or go to Microsoft and other places. So as part of TechX, we used to organize this speaking, very short sessions, very intimate sessions for MSx program. And they would love it, and many of them found jobs or deeper relationships out of it. The second startup was the reason I joined MSx program. Actually, I was going through this problem, my own personal problem, and I wanted to translate it into a company. So as soon as I came into the MSx program, I was very focused in terms of refining my idea as part of various classes. The idea was very vague and abstract at that time, but more I invested in it with other team members and other people across the school, the more clarity I got, and I ended up starting it full time after graduating from the program.
So you saw the program very much as an incubator for your business idea.
That was not the idea, but it ended up being like that, just because of the nature of the programs that allow you to basically iterate on your idea in a very long period of time. Like Startup Garage, there's Startup Garage 1 and there's Startup Garage 2. It spans over an entire year. So you could pretty much take it and keep refining your ideas. And different teammates from across in engineering and MBA and MSx join you, because some of them don't want to start anything, but they want to experience the entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
And it becomes such an interesting and fascinating combination with inputs from everybody. and it's an amazing environment to refine your
And we should
idea.
explain for everyone what your company does. It's involved in student transportation.
That's right. So the idea started because I was having a lot of challenge in pickup and drop off of my children. Initially, it was called Uber for Kids, essentially. And over the time, it evolved into disrupting this $28 billion student transportation market. It's actually the largest mass transit, larger than the 5 subsequent mass transit systems combined. And today we are actually running the transportation for entire districts: San Francisco Unified, Oakland Unified.
Wow. Now, how did the program help you launch this company successfully? I'm wondering, were your classmates your guinea pigs? Were the faculty some of your important advisors? Did you get seed capital from the Stanford Alumni Network? Well, how did it shape your idea and ultimately allow you to do this?
The most impactful class that I took in Stanford was across the street. It was an engineering college called Lean Launchpad, started by legendary Steve Blank. He's known for his entrepreneurship
Yes,
and
indeed.
driving you. He says that this is the hardest program you will take at Stanford, and he keeps his promises. So in that program, he actually forces you to get out of the building and interview people and get the real data and actually try your idea in the real life and not just on the paper and slides and in terms of hypothetical thing. So we were actually forced, given the nature of the program, to actually test drive the whole idea. We acted as drivers, picking up other people's children. We actually created a website to invite other parents, and same day 300 parents signed up for the program. It was very clear the need is very high for this kind of a service, and every week we would keep refining a different aspect of the startup over like around 10 to 12 weeks of time frame, and it was hugely impactful in terms of refining the idea and totally understanding whether this idea is viable or not and what could be the challenges. They are writing a book, and I'm actually assisting in one of the chapters about this book, and as I recall it, it was, even today, I use that philosophy in terms of how to refine the customer idea. Every time we are thinking of new idea in the company, I follow the same pattern of get out of the building and learn about it and iterate over it. And it has been super impactful.
Which is a core part of design thinking.
That's right.
Now, you mentioned an iconic course at Stanford, Startup Garage, and clearly it had an impact on you. Explain to everyone what Startup Garage is and why it was so important to you.
Startup Garage is actually the iconic entrepreneurship, experiential entrepreneurship course on GSB, which pretty much anybody wanting to experience entrepreneurship want to take. And there's a team of 3 or 4 people who iterate on the idea, and other people on the team provide you input. It is actually a combination of design thinking, where you iterate on an idea through empathy and by going into the market and researching, but at the same time following the business principles and business management principles that I walked through. So there is a small lecture piece of it, but most of it is you actually doing the idea in real life. So companies like DoorDash have come out of Startup Garage, and it is actually...
And now your company, Zoom.
That's right, and my company, Zoom, absolutely.
So when I look at your resume, I think that you are the quintessential Silicon Valley citizen. You've worked for 3 iconic brands, Yahoo, eBay, and Oracle. You worked for a little while as a consultant at IBM. In the 3 major Silicon Valley companies that you've worked for, you were in product management. And I'm thinking, we had someone from Chicago, someone from Nairobi, but you have been part of this ecosystem forever. What possibly could Stanford teach you?
It is the perfect 1-year lab that you want to have, but you didn't know that it existed. It is the kind of program that I was hoping to have at that part of my career where I was wanting to transition from working in corporate in a big company where you have tons of resources around you every single day, to transitioning from entrepreneurship where you have nothing but a laptop and your brain literally, and how do you turn it into something where we are now like over $1 billion company. So how do you do that is something that the program actually provided all the tools, resources, talent, in terms of like learning from other people, how they have done it, exposure to the best of the world, CEOs and founders, how they were able to achieve it and translate it into your own experience. And that was the immersive environment that MSx program enabled me to do it.
I wonder if you could tell us what memorable moment occurred in the program. Was there an aha moment where everything made sense to you, where suddenly you thought this was the most invaluable experience I have ever had in my life?
There were multiple memorable moments every single time I navigated into the class. Touchy-feely was definitely one of them. But just to give you an example how every day is memorable, I'm in the last day of my program and I am attending across the street a session on compassion. And there I see a director of Oscar-winning movie, and I just invite them to GSB. And this is my last day of the program. So what the point I'm trying to make is every single day is an opportunity. You have to go out and just know and grab it on the program. And it's up to you to design and make the maximum use of the program. And actually the director accepted. There were tons of students who participated in that chat. It was one of the amazing, memorable time for me because he's actually an Indian director directing Hollywood. And as a child, I used to always watch him. And that possibility that happened and completed in GSB, it's only because of the limitless like opportunities that are being provided by GSB and Stanford in particular.
It's kind of like the Stanford campus is a magnetic field that attracts talent from all over the world and in every industry and every piece of the world.
Yes, absolutely. Best of the best talent. It is an unbelievable place, magical place, absolutely.
So when you think about the culture of the campus and the MSx program, I wonder how it's similar to and different from the ecosystem of Silicon Valley that you've worked in all your life.
MSx program and the Stanford in particular, there's a very strong feeling of community and tribe. People, everybody understands that we are in it together and we have to add to each other's learning every single day. The program has a start date and an end date, so you know that there is a time limit and you want to make the maximum use of it. It's just the nature of talent that comes on the program and the vested interest they have in the tribe in making everybody successful and unique stories of everyone. Like I have not learned in 7 years so much about like other places about the people as much as I learned in just 1 year about the stories of different classmates.
What makes people so open and so willing to give?
I believe it's a safe environment. Right from the day one, it's been told that whatever happens here is yours. And like that culture of collaboration is inculcated in you. Like everybody is together in it. And people feel very safe in terms of opening up, and they see other people doing it, and it becomes possible for you suddenly.
Now, I imagine that most people who finish the program wish it were longer than it is. Were you one of them?
You always wish the program never ends. It's one of those programs, but at the same time, the timeline was just the right for me. It would have been very hard to take out more than a year. I was doing the program with 2 children and very full life. But at the same time, I would completely agree that the experience of it, you don't want to end in terms of the program. But this 1-year program, residential, all immersive, in the heart of business school, along with other schools that you can collaborate, is just such a unique opportunity. As I said, I was hoping to be in this program, and I didn't know it existed. So I'm so grateful to her for that.
2 children you were going through the program with.
That's right.
How did that turn out?
It was very difficult, but it became a laugh for my idea, because as I was essentially on a daily basis struggling with the entire management of my life around it, it was a breeding ground for my idea Zoom, that provided on-demand rides and care for children. But it had a very big impact on them. in terms of interacting with other children and seeing their mom taking initiative to go to school at that time of their lives. They also started it broke the idea of school in their mind, that people can go to school at any time. They can keep learning.
That's a beautiful thing, really.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck to you.
Thank
Not
you.
that you need it.
I need all the luck I can be, but thank you.
All right, we're going to have Jamil come up next. Let's introduce him.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamal Madney and I'm from Los Angeles, California. I chose the MSx program, well, because there's only one Stanford and there's only one Silicon Valley, where the culture and the history of entrepreneurship truly permeates the air. I was fortunate enough to have people like Eric Schmidt and Scott Kapoor as professors, and folks like Satya Nadella, Whitney Wolfe, Evan Spiegel, and Jamie Dimon as guest speakers. I can truly attribute my idea, my co-founder, my initial set of advisors, my first hires, and my initial funding to my Stanford ecosystem and network. It was truly a transformative experience.
All right. Well, great to meet you.
Well, likewise.
I think you're a media celebrity of your own.
Oh my goodness.
You're the co-host of Real Talk, which is the podcast series sponsored by MSx, where you actually interview current students. I found those sessions fascinating. But now it's your turn.
Oh boy.
Okay, so you were at Boeing.
Yes.
Boeing sponsored you into the program. When you came here, what were you hoping to achieve?
You know, John, it was really interesting. I had such a wonderful time at Boeing. It was 7 years there. I started in software development, ended up in technology strategy. And I had reached a point in my career where there was a sort of an inflection. And I really had this entrepreneurial itch. And I was really looking at the world of how can I create customizable impact. And it was from that lens that I came to the GSB to really test the possibilities of entrepreneurship and see if this was the right time to make that move.
How did that work?
Well, it worked out great. I found my co-founder, I found an idea, I found a market, and it's been an incredible journey since graduation.
Now, your co-founder was that person a classmate of yours?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, my classmate Matt, and it was really serendipitous because I had come to the GSB with this thinking of how can we intersect tech with human connection. And so much about tech was almost augmenting or replacing human connection, but how can we use tech to enhance it? And so I was really looking at these different opportunities to sort of see that world. And I happened to have dinner with this sort of creative in the advertising world, and we sat down, we had dinner for 3 hours, and we realized that we're two kindred spirits and that we just had to work together, and the rest was history.
How early on in the program did that occur?
That was about midway.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it was right around winter break, and then we ended up starting to do research together, and then ultimately started the company.
And part of the uniqueness of MSx is the ability to build your own journey. How did you customize the program to make it most valuable to you?
So I had, half of the program is customizable, and I sort of divided it up into chunks and thirds, really. So a first part was sort of new venture strategy. Another part was in kind of behavioral economics, and sort of a third part was ad hoc. And really my whole goal was to sort of test 3 to 5 different hypotheses, jobs, opportunities, and see how can I use the year to sort of narrow down from those 3 to 5 into one. Because oftentimes going to Stanford is like a child going to Disney World. There's just so many different possibilities, and if you go in with just one idea, if I just want to go to Tomorrowland and I can have a great day at Tomorrowland, but I sort of miss out on the magic of the rest of the park. And conversely, if I go with the crowd and just sort of follow where the crowd takes me, I'll have sort of wonderful experiences, but maybe not have the direction that I wanted. and maybe feel unfulfilled the way I did at the beginning of the park. And so that was really my thesis.
I love that metaphor. So tell me the 3 rides at Stanford that you most enjoyed and had the biggest impact on you.
So obviously coursework was incredible, and one course in particular jumps to mind, which was New Venture Strategy with Peter Wendell and Scott Kapoor and Eric Schmidt, and that was absolutely incredible.
That's a famous trio of
That's a famous trio.
teachers.
That was absolutely incredible. Then there was sort of the experiential piece of, experiential courses, but things like incubators like Cardinal Ventures, Dorm Room Fund, those types of things. But then the third piece was the social and the cultural. And, we had so many different programs associated with our 1 year, the culture nights, India night, China night, Japan night, where we learned so much about the cultures, the immersive trips of going to New York and DC and learning about those institutions and those individuals, and then just the individual relationships.
That's quite a Disneyland for you.
Right, absolutely.
And a company came out of it, actually.
Yes.
What does your company do?
So my company is called Engage, and we help professionals read and react to the virtual room through behavioral intelligence. So we're effectively a video conferencing platform that sits on top of Zoom and Teams and allows individuals to sort of read and react to behavioral cues and be able to better connect with their customers, their teammates in this more hybrid and distributed workforce.
And besides the fact that you found your co-founder and probably now your best friend, how did the experience shape this idea and help make it viable?
So it did in many ways. Me and my co-founder started a independent study course, 390, and that was really around human connection and how individuals can sort of connect in different mediums and either through wearables or virtualization and so forth. And it was really kind of the nexus of that research that ended up leading to the company. And so that was a unique aspect of the program where we talk a lot about the courses that exist, but there's also opportunities to sort of create your own course and create your own research around an idea that you're really passionate about and get faculty support and have individuals work with you on that.
Now, Jamil, there are 2 words in higher education that are overused. One is immersive and one is transformative. But the truth is, MSx is both. It is immersive and it is transformative. So I want you to talk to me about how is it transformative? How did it transform you? And what makes it special so that it actually can allow someone to reimagine their life?
I like to think of it as evidence-based life design. And the course is in the School of Business. It's a master's in management, but it's masquerading as a degree in life design. And it really allows you to sort of unlock the evidence that maybe exists in different parts of your life, the different nuggets from past experiences, relationships, careers, and to be able to extract that to find what you really want to do in the next chapter of your life, or give you the tools and the resources and the environment to sort of create that evidence for yourself while you're there to become a thought leader, to become someone where there's a really nice fit in the industry or in the environment you want to work with. So it's really evidence-based life design. It's the toolbox, and you have to sort of make it what you will.
Which leads me to think that this is more than a bunch of classes for mid-career professionals. This is an experience where self-development and introspection are core elements that come out of it. And then the bonding from like-minded individuals from very different places in the world kind of cement that change.
For sure. And I think it all really starts with the culture at Stanford and the culture around the GSB, which I think is this perfect blend of humility and hunger. And, the cardinal is the mascot of Stanford, but I think the duck might be the mascot of the GSB. And the duck is this sort of analogy where above the surface, the duck is sort of very peaceful and roaming around, but below the surface, a lot of flapping and a lot of movement and a lot of action is going on. And that's what makes, I think, the GSB so special is you have the humility where individuals are so approachable, they're so helpful, they want to give their time, they want to lend their expertise, have conversations, but then there's also this hunger to drive and do great things. And what's so unique about this environment is you can think of any topic, any subject, and there's probably someone in the 0.001% of expertise and accomplishment in that subject. And that's a very freeing environment because it removes ego. And so there's sort of this environment where you can just sort of be and learn from the very best.
For a lot of people out there, it may be rather daunting to think that, in your 30s, your 40s, you can go back to school for a full year and you're going to meet these incredible individuals. I don't know if people suffer from imposter syndrome, but I would think that you'd come in here and you'd say, am I worthy? Were you one of them?
Absolutely, from probably the first minute of the first day. But I think you find an opportunity where, what have you sort of, there's everyone has a very unique story and everyone has a very unique skill set, and we're all there sort of providing that to this sort of, eclectic blend that is the environment. And I think ultimately, I think that the greatest thing that I've taken away from the program is this confidence and curiosity, and sort of being comfortable in the unknown and the discomfort and the wonder of learning new things, learning about new people. And the second is ultimately getting a PhD in self-awareness and really understanding who you are, what motivates you, what drives you, what are you good at, what are your strengths and weaknesses. And I think it's in the combination of those two things where the magic really happens.
What would you say is the most underrated part of the program?
It's the last time in your life where you can truly make lifelong friends. And I think there's so much around, you make your best friends when you're in grade school or in high school or in undergrad. And as you get into your mid-30s and your mid-40s, those relationships start becoming more transactional. I'm friends because our kids are friends, or we're friends because we work in the same place, and so on and so forth. This is a place where truly lifelong friendships are made at a very unique time in your life. I got married during the program, and I had classmates at my wedding, and just the deepest of relationships have come from this experience.
Wow. So, Jamil, one last question before we leave. We're running out of time. But it's something that I'd like to know.
Sure.
There are people out there who were in the same place that you were in at Boeing after 7.5 years. They threw themselves into their families, they threw themselves into their jobs, and they got involved in that grind, that daily grind that so many people get involved in. And this would be a magical experience for them. But they've got all these responsibilities, and they've got this big job, and it's holding them back. What do you say to them?
That the opportunity to invest in yourself is priceless, and that the rewards of this program aren't just something that happen during the program or immediately after, but the experience scales over time. I actually think that my experience was more impactful and more meaningful 1 year out than it was 1 week out, and it's probably going to be more impactful 10 years out than it was 1 year out. And I think it's almost got this power law distribution of impact. And what I would say is that the company that you're probably leaving, if it's a big Fortune 500 company, they'll probably survive without you. So it's okay to take that shot.
Jamil, a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so you've spent 1 hour with us on the MSx program at Stanford. I hope you have gotten to understand how unique and how special it is, and how, in fact, it does change people's lives. Thanks for joining us. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants.